Hey everybody, welcome to another lesson of learning Japanese. Today we're going to go over another grammar pattern, and the one that we have in store for today is basically we're using the te-Form-VERB plus a motion verb, basically the verb iku or the verb kuru to mean to go and to come respectively. We're going to use that in conjunction with the te form, and it's going to express that verb action, the verb that we're using and conjugating to the te form, is performed, but it's also kind of like oriented in a particular direction. And when we say direction here, we can mean that in a literal sense or kind of more in an abstract sense, such as time going forward or from the past, or other such things, and we'll delve more into that with the example senses. So construction is exactly like I just said, so pretty simple there. Te form verb plus iku or plus kuru. And that'll mean to do that verb in like the sense of going in a direction or coming in a direction. So our first example sense of this, we're probably going to go with two words that are probably the most common two words used in this grammar pattern. And the first one is going to be the verb motte, which is going to translate basically to carry, to hold, to have something on you. So we're going to take the te form of that, motte, and it's probably going to make more sense if we include a direct object, something that you're actually holding. So we'll say something like nomimono, as in drinks. So our example sentence, not really a sentence, just half a sentence basically for now. Nomimono wo motte iku. So what this is going to translate kind of naturally is basically to bring drinks with an implication of somewhere, to go somewhere with drinks. So the point that we're going to try to get across with this example sentence and the next one is that sometimes with this grammar pattern, it can be helpful to interpret it as a sequential relationship, as in you do the verb that you use with this grammar pattern and you go if you're using iku, or you come if you're using kuru. So you do that verb and you go, or you do that verb and you come. In this example, we're using iku, which means to go, so it's going to mean to bring and to go. So like the literal translation of this, if we're going to apply the definition of motte as like basically to carry or to hold, it'll be something like to hold a drink or to carry a drink and go. Of course, the implication there is if you go somewhere holding a drink, that basically means you're bringing the drink with you to that place. So that's definitely the better, more natural translation, to go somewhere with a drink or to bring a drink somewhere. Yeah, something along those lines. For our next example sentence, we're going to try to again illustrate this idea. This time we're going to use kuru instead of iku, and the verb that we'll use that is also similar to motte is sureru, which is going to be basically motte, but the version of the word that you use when you're saying you're bringing humans and not objects. So sureru is going to mean basically to take someone or to hold someone. It's kind of weird to literally translate it, but basically to take someone somewhere. So for our example, we'll have something like joji o surete kuru, which is going to translate naturally into to bring George, with kind of the implication to here, because we're using kuru, which means come, so they came to us with George, bringing George. The literal translation, if you want to emphasize that sequential relationship, would be to take George and come here. But of course that sounds awkward, so we don't choose that as the natural translation. So yeah, with certain verbs, when you're using this grammar pattern with certain verbs, it does kind of make sense to interpret it as a sequential relationship, doing the verb and then coming, either doing the verb and going. Another example would be like katte kuru. Katte is the te form of the verb kao, which means to buy. So to buy something and come, but the implication of course is that you're going to come bringing that something that you bought. Another common example is the very everyday phrase ittekimasu. This is actually using the verb iku with this grammar pattern as the first verb, not the motion verb, and then using kuru as the motion verb. So iku turns into its te form itte, and then we add on kuru, or it's in its polite mas form here, kimasu. So ittekimasu is literally saying to go and come, and the implication is that you're going to go somewhere and you're going to come back. And this is basically used every day when you're in a situation where like you're leaving home and you're just going to say that out loud to everybody else in the house. Ittekimasu, I'm going to go and I'm going to come back. Or more naturally, that'll be like something like be right back. So yeah, those are some examples where it makes sense to interpret this grammar pattern from a sequential relationship, but that interpretation definitely does not apply to all examples of this grammar pattern, because it can vary a lot. And I would personally say that this grammar pattern is one of those grammar patterns that is like pretty uniquely Japanese, and it doesn't have an English equivalent, so sometimes when you translate into English, you can kind of convey the idea that the Japanese does, but at other times you just simply can't find the words to convey it at all in English. So needless to say, the example sentences are going to get more difficult now. We're going to jump into this idea of motion verbs orienting the verb action into a certain direction in a kind of abstract way, or also sometimes literal ways. So for our next example sentence, we're going to have the line 日本語が少しずつ分かっていきます. This line right here is going to translate to basically something like, I am coming to understand Japanese better little by little. So let's break down the sentence bit by bit. First up, of course, we have the word nihongo, which is going to translate to Japanese, the Japanese language. We have the particle ga. This is the particle that we use with the verb wakaru, which means to understand. Before that shows up though, we have some adverbs. We have sukoshi zutsu, and this is going to translate to basically little by little. So it's going to be modifying the verb wakaru, but wakaru is the verb that we're using with this grammar pattern, which means we need to conjugate into its te form, so wakaru turns into wakatte. And then after that, we plug in the motion verb, either iku or kuru. In this sense, we're using kuru, and we're just gonna conjugate that into the mas form kimasu. So nihongo ga sukoshi zutsu wakatte kimasu is going to translate to something like, I am coming to understand Japanese better little by little. So why does this translate to that? Well, we have this nuance of going in a direction because we're using this grammar pattern, and the motion verb that we're using is kuru. So kuru embodies this idea of coming, as in into my direction or reaching the current point. And that's kind of basically exactly what we're trying to convey here when we're trying to detail our progress in learning Japanese, or how we're getting better at comprehending Japanese. You've reached this point where you're understanding it better little by little. So that was an example of kind of going in a direction that, in a kind of abstract kind of way, you're reaching the current point in time, you're making progress to the point in time that is now your current state. This grammar pattern also applies when you're talking about direction in a literal sense. So let's do an example of that with using iku instead of kuru. So for our example sentence, we'll we'll use both. 雨が降ってきたので、みんなが家に帰っていた. This line is going to translate to basically, the rain came pouring down on us, so everybody went home. Let's break down the sentence bit by bit. We actually have two instances of the grammar pattern in here, one in each clause. So the first clause here starts with ame, which is just going to translate to rain. Unsurprisingly, we're going to use rain with the verb to fall, so basically means to rain. Ame ga furu, furu means to fall, but furu is going to be the verb that we want to use with our grammar pattern, so it's going to be changed into futte, and that's the te form, of course, and we're going to plug in kuru right after that, but we're going to conjugate into the past ta forms. So ame ga futte kita, and this is going to translate to basically, kind of naturally, it'll be just, it started raining. That's like the English translation we'd go with. We didn't really care about conveying the nuance here. There is a slight nuance of the rain reaching us. So in our translation, we kind of tried to go for that by saying the rain came pouring down on us, but that's not completely necessary. As you can see, you could just make it would make just as much sense if you just said it started raining. So we conjugated kuru into its past ta form because we want to continue the sentence onward, so we needed it to be in its plain form, but in the past because it happened in the past. Then we plug in the conjunction node to mean because, so because it started raining, or because the rain came pouring down on us. And now our second clause, which will include this grammar pattern as well, minna ga uchi ni kaete itta. And this is going to translate to everybody, minna, the ga there marking them as the subject, kaeru, the verb that means to return. That's the verb that we want to use with this grammar pattern, so we're going to conjugate into its te form, kaete. Then we're going to plug in iku, but in its past ta form because this happened in the past. So this instance of the grammar pattern here with the iku is going to convey the direction in a literal sense, like they literally went home and in a away direction from me. So they didn't come to me, they didn't return home to me, they went to their own houses away from me. So we use iku instead of kuru there. So the first instance of the grammar pattern, in the first clause we use kuru because the rain came to us, but in the second clause we use iku because the people, everybody, went away from me, the speaker. Let's do another example sentence where we convey that the verb action is oriented in a direction in an abstract sense. This time we'll use iku to denote that basically the action is oriented towards the future. So for our example sentence, we'll have その生活をずっと続けていくことはできない. So this line right here is going to translate to basically you can't go on living that life forever, or living that kind of lifestyle forever. So let's break down that sentence. First up, we have sono, which is just going to be the demonstrative adjective that basically means that. It's going to be modifying seikatsu, which means lifestyle. So sono seikatsu is going to be that lifestyle basically. We're going to mark it with the direct object marker o because it's the direct object. Then we have the adverb zutto, which is going to translate to basically forever or always or something along those lines. It's going to be modifying the verb action, which is going to be suzukeru, which means basically to continue. So we're going to conjugate that into its te form because that's the verb that we want to use with this grammar pattern. So suzukeru turns into suzukete. Then we add on iku because we're conveying, as you would probably expect with the verb to continue, that's going to convey an idea of onwards to the future. So iku fits that, of course, more than kuru does. And we're gonna in turn add a koto after iku to turn into like a gerund. Then add the particle wa there as the negative scope plus the word verb dekinai, which is dekiru in its negative nai form. Dekiru means to be able to do, so dekinai, the negative form, is gonna mean can't. So it's basically saying can't go on living that life, continue living that life. So again, その生活をずっと続けていくことはできない is going to translate to you can't go on continuing that lifestyle forever. And so you'll see here, you should see here how the grammar pattern is affecting the nuance of this sentence. We have suzukeru, which is the verb that means to continue. It's pretty indicative of things going forward, so the future, so it makes sense that we would use it with iku here. So in our wording for the translation too, we kind of denote the idea of the action oriented into the forward direction with go on. It does sound a bit awkward to say go on and then continue and then living when you can just say go on living or continue living. So you might drop it in some cases, but for the most part, at the very least, that's how the Japanese wording is indicating that nuance of the action being oriented towards the future. Alright, before we end this one, I want to do one more example sense of this grammar pattern in the negative form, because the negative form can kind of make it confusing, especially if you're trying to interpret an example of this grammar pattern with that sequential relationship there, because the sequential relationship implies that there's kind of like two actions, to do the verb and then go, or to do the verb and come. But if you look at the structure of this grammar pattern, the first verb is always going to be in its te form, and you got to conjugate the second verb, the motion verb, iku or kuru, into the negative if you want it to be in the negative, or the past form if you want it to be in the past form overall. But if it's in the negative and you have that sequential relationship of two actions, like buying something and then coming, which one is going to be negative? Are they both going to be negative? Did not buy and did not come, or bought and didn't come, or didn't buy and came? Which one is it? So let's jump into an example to see how this might be a little bit tricky if you come across it, and how sometimes you gotta just rely on context or what would naturally make sense. So our line to illustrate this will be デート中に質問をしてこない男が多すぎる. This line right here is going to translate to like, I'm tired of going on dates with guys who never ask any questions about me, or more literally it'll just be like, there are too many guys who don't ask questions on dates, or questions about you on dates. And of course, let's break it down now to see how it's working. First up, we have deito. It's just the katakana word for date, the English word date. It's gonna be plugged in with the suffix chu to mean basically during a date or while date's going on. So deito chu is going to be during a date basically, or on a date more naturally. We have the particle ni there to address that we're talking about during dates or while you're on dates. And now we're going to have our grammar pattern here, but first it's going to come with a direct object. So shitsumon is the question, or it's not the question, it's the word that means question. It's going to be the direct object, so we're marking it with the direct object marker o. Then the verb is going to be the verb suru, which is just the like default verb that means to do. We could have just as easily used the verbal noun shitsumon suru, which means to question or to ask questions, but here we're using it in a kind of variation where we use the shitsumon as the direct object, and then we have o, then we have suru. So shitsumon o suru. Of course, we need to conjugate suru into its te form because this is the verb that we're going to use with our grammar pattern now. So shitsumon o shite, then now we're going to plug in. Guess which one we're going to do? Iku or kuru? We're going to go with, oh, I already told you the example sense. We're going to go with kuru. And why do we choose kuru here? Because we are conveying the idea that the questions come to me. The dude asked the questions, and then they're like oriented towards me. But we want to say that they don't ask questions or they don't send questions your way. So instead of saying kuru, we say konai. Then that whole kind of clause right there, shitsumon no shite konai, is going to be modifying otoko, which means guys or men. So it's basically shitsumon no shite konai otoko is going to be men who don't ask questions or send questions your way or ask questions about you. Then we're just going to end the sentence with ga o sugiru, and this is just going to be, of course, the particle ga there, marking them as the subject. Then the grammar pattern that is an adjective plus sugiru to mean too much of that adjective. And of course we're using the adjective oi here, which is going to mean basically a lot of or too many or many. So o sugiru is going to be too many. So too many. So guys who don't ask you questions on dates are too many, or just more naturally, there are too many guys who don't ask questions on dates, or perhaps even more naturally, I'm tired of guys who don't ask you questions about you on your dates or whatever. So what's the takeaway from this? We had shitsumon o shite konai, and if we had interpreted that as a sequential relationship, like to ask a question and come, but it's in its negative form, does that mean he doesn't ask questions and he doesn't come to the date, or he doesn't ask questions but he does come on a date, or he does ask questions but he doesn't come on a date? Which one is it? Well, this is the case where it'd probably be a bad idea to interpret this as a sequential relationship, as in there's two separate verbs being performed in order here. This is more like we're combining the two verbs to make them into one kind of essence. So when we say shitsumon no shite konai, that doesn't mean ask questions and come. That means basically like ask questions towards my way, or send questions my way, ask questions my way, something along those lines. That's not really two different actions at all. That's one conjoined action. So if we have that in the negative form, shitsumon no shite konai, that means that he doesn't do that conjoined action of sending questions your way, but it doesn't necessarily mean that he doesn't come, as in come on the date or something else along those lines. So yeah, that example sentence right there should probably reinforce the idea that this grammar pattern is a bit tricky. It's pretty uniquely Japanese. I wouldn't say there's really any English equivalent to it other than wording your sentences in a certain way to include keywords that kind of indicate that, like to come or to go on doing something or to come doing something like that. But you don't always plug those words in, even if you are trying to convey that idea, because sometimes the wording of the English language just makes it sound awkward, so you don't do it at all and it's unnecessary. But in Japanese, you'll see them appear even if you translate that into English and it sounds redundant to say something like that. That's just how the Japanese language works differently. So that being the way it is, definitely recommend that you check out some more example sentences of this online. Somewhere we have some more example sentences either in the description, but if the description is too long and we can't fit them, check out the full post on our website, which the link will be in the description and in the comments below. And that is going to wrap up our video lesson on the te form of a verb plus a motion verb such as iku or kuru to represent that that action is performed, and it's also oriented in a direction, whether that be a literal direction or an abstract one. Okay, so that's going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you learned something and I hope you enjoyed your time doing so. If you'd like to express that, you can like the video, leave a comment below, or subscribe if you haven't already. If you'd like to support more of these video lessons, please do consider checking out our Patreon page. Also included on the screen right now are, of course, a bunch of links on where to find and follow us elsewhere online. Lastly, check out our Discord server. We've got a community of hundreds of, so if you're looking for somebody to voice chat with just to practice speaking Japanese, or if you just want to talk about anime or music or manga. And with that, see you next time.